And good afternoon. This is the Elliot Wave Daily Update for the NASDAQ 100, being recorded on Tuesday, August the 19th at 2:15 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. The NASDAQ led the charge lower today, and pretty much because, in my opinion, of the breakdown in the Qs and sliding below 2 points. And the first being the the volatility trigger. And let me just kind of put this back up. Oh, come on, where is it? All right, it's hiding on me. Uh, Here we go. Now we'll go on about it this way. We're going to go over, we're going to take a look at the cues real quick and what we saw today. And I can go real quick and we can look at the range of the cues for today. And that would be actually on this chart. Sorry about that. I'll get organized. So we're in the NQ and we're going to go over and take a look that it opened at 23,800. The high was 23,838. The low was 23,426. So the Qs had a range today of 576 on the open, 576.56 on the high, 568 on the low. So by the time this opened, it really was not trading at those higher levels, but it hung around 576 all the way through the open, tried to move up from that level. And so 576 was zero gamma and the volatility trigger. Above that was 580, and that was the call wall. So this was the next important level down. And when the volatility trigger broke, it was not that far from breaking below large gamma 2, and which it did. And that added another layer of selling as adjustments were made. So the volatility trigger brings on some initial selling as adjustments are made, and the market shifts from more of a positive gamma over to a negative gamma. So risk on over to risk off. And we saw that begin and then pick up some speed. 575 broke. That forced another additional adjustments being made on the break below 575. Large gamma 4 was at 570. That actually also, broke. And the market closed below large gamma 4. So what's left is the put wall at 565 and at 560 large gamma 3. Now, I'm sure those lower levels may still be at those levels, but they would be next up. So what we're going to hopefully it'll get reset. Are going to be volatility trigger, large gamma 2 and large gamma 4. And so maybe some of these upsides, like the call wall, they'll shift as well. So we're going to get new levels tomorrow morning, but I wanted to make sure that we were talking or that I spent some time just going over what got broken today, which really just brought about the situation where the market just kind of nosedived. And so that, of course, then the NQ itself finishing down 324. Now, getting back over to the chart. So in essence, what this did is by a country mile here, you can see there is wave one. So originally this morning, right, I had left the 3 up there, but the 4 over there, we needed the market to move. The market didn't, the market came down. Now, in that process, it came down and it sliced through wave one of the sequence that the fourth wave was correcting. And so we know that the rule is wave 4 cannot overlap wave 1, and it did by a large way. There's the marker here. And so it did by a fair amount. So that got tossed. It becomes invalidated. And that brought back the other, which I had, and as you remember, I had it up here in the corner because I moved it because I was putting it up there because there were several suggestions that this is what's going to happen. So my point when I presented it was not so much that that was where I was going with my count, but I wanted to make sure that people understood that if this is the count that you're choosing to use, which is fine, then understand what the market needs to do to keep that in place. And further downside would invalidate the count. But if the market failed to turn because we had done a 1-2 and it should have been rallying in this third wave. And it kind of started out a little bit like, okay, we're going to start to rally as we saw some of the internals like in Apple and in some of the other stocks, Tesla, as a matter of fact, um, were really kind of pushing higher. But that didn't last. That didn't last hardly at all. And the market kind of went from there, and then it just started to slide. And then when it started to break in the Qs below that volatility trigger, it was all over. And then because it quickly then broke below the large gamma 2 level, and then it seriously was all over. And it played there, up, down a little bit, but it continued to deteriorate and then broke 570. So, and that kind of was the final blow. Now, what does it look like? Well, I think what we've got going on is a 1-2 and then a 1-2 and then a 1-2. So we're in that 3. In fact, the small internal 3 might be complete. So this one, there to there, is wave 3 and of the sub minuet. So we were in a 3 of 3 of 3 move. So this 3 is done. So we should be getting up. That's doesn't belong there. And get rid of it. We're looking for that fourth wave up, which may be complete, may be needing just a little bit more. We'll find out. But there are the markers for this fourth wave. See the color? Fourth goes there to that one. And then once that's done, we come back down again. And that then finishes this third, but finishes this third. So the sub-minuet wave 3 will go into place here. Now that's a fairly extended first wave, and 3 is not done yet. So, but again, pretty extended. And this actually is pretty steep as well. So it's 820 and this is 420. So that's 400 points. This is 24,012 and this is 24,371. So you can see it's about 290 points. So this one's got it skunked. So we're still, this third is the longest. So between these waves. So this third is longer than the first. So we're in good shape there. So a little 4, we come back down, we put in that fourth wave. That puts in this third, we come back up in another fourth. And likely we're going to just, you can gauge it from where it's got to come. See, there is the previous fourth of one lesser degree for this third. Excuse me, for this fourth of this degree. Could come back up to there, which is 382, on the nose 382. But 236 could present its problems as well. Let me go down to the 15-minute. I got to show that a little cleaner. I keep forgetting if I don't do this, you guys can't really see all the definition there. So here we have it. So there's the 2. Here's wave 1. Here's wave 2. And then we come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're way below. But it could be enough to put in a small 4. But I think we might get a little bit additional rally if it comes up to as it should, of this fourth wave, right? Because I got that 3 right there. So if the sub minuet fourth wave comes to full force, then we'd be looking for it to come up to here, 23,578. And that's 105 points from where we are. So, and it could happen. They could do it overnight. They could decide, okay, we're just going to step back in. And as we have seen, so, and it was until we opened that it was like, nope, we're not doing that. In fact, we're going to go all the way overboard here. And it was Mag 7 that led that way down. And it was this turn in Tesla. It was NVIDIA turning, it was trading at 182. And then it closed at 175.64. And it's sitting right there. It's sitting right there. It's not budging off of that. And initially, a lot of the thought was is that the market will just continue in a sideways pattern until we get to Friday. A, it's an expiration. B, it's Jerome Powell stepping up to the mic and giving his last Jackson Hole speech. So all ears are open to hear what he's going to be talking about and hear what he's going to say. Is he going to go out in a blaze of glory and say, no, we're not going to raise the interest rates, inflation is on the run, or is he going to succumb to the market demands and do a quarter point? We don't know. We're hopefully going to find out by Friday what that September meeting will happen. And so if that does, then yeah, we might get that right up and out of here. So if I go back to that hourly chart, minimally, wave C would be equal to wave A at 22,990. Now, could that finish it? Now, on an irregular basis, I would say no. But because the market is so nuts at the moment, if it came down and then we got the news that Powell was basically hinting or saying or acquiescing to, yes, the Fed is likely going to be cutting a quarter of a point on next month. So that could produce a rally. And essentially, if we start getting above these levels, then I'm going to be looking for that to be complete. As long as I get 5 down on this level. So again, we're going to see. I'm actually looking for more. So I'm not thinking we're going to get too much out of this Jackson Hole speech, but stranger things have happened. All right. So what we then are looking for here is for a fourth wave up, another fifth wave down. And once that's in, it should be on a little bit on the large side because here's wave 1. So, and that is going to go over to wherever this 4 ends up. And so we could get a pretty deep fifth wave within this third. And that could be very interesting. The lower we get, and then we get, and that puts this 3 into place, then we get another one and we come back down in that fifth. And that's the fifth that I think could extend because there's our target. There's the first target. And here is the second target. And so a lot of room yet between 23,473 and 21,481. That's 2,000 points. So that's a big drop. Lots of things can kick it into gear. But my other thought is that we could really, this could be very quick. And we can't forget that the A wave took 2 days. This was July the 31st. This low, the high, right? The low was August the 1st. So in less than 12 hours, right? So here was midnight on July the 31st, and this was August the 1st at 11 a.m. So yeah, it was very fast and just kind of happened and it went, and then we rallied. So I think we could do another strong down, finish the third, go back up, come back down, and finish this. Depends on what kind of hits the tape tomorrow and where things are going to start lining up. And let's see how all the spot gamma goes. So again, today could not have been any better than an example of what happens when gamma levels start to break down. It just forces the option trade and it forces the hedging and lifting hedges and putting new hedges on, etc. And that's kind of what happened, as I just went over with in the Qs. Now, so basically, I think we get a little bit more to the upside. If not, and I got to put this, it should be a pretty doozy. That fifth wave should be pretty strong to the downside. We'll see. Could sit and do nothing until Globex reopens, and then sit and do nothing until we get into Europe, pretty much into European trading. It's kind of when it starts to happen. All right. So taking a look at the hourly chart for the moving averages they're all kind of look at that. Hourly 50 coming and touching the 200, which is now going flat as it should, but there it sits at 724. So it's right on top of the 50, which is just below it. So that breaks, then we are in alignment on the hourly chart to go down. Okay, to go down. Now that's where that fourth wave is marked, but I think we probably only get 236. So that's 518, and we're closing at 473. There's not a whole lot to get up to there, finish, and then come sliding back down. Once it is done, remember, once it is done, I get a 4. I'm going to connect it from there to there to there. And you're going to get a big number where we can come down to. So again, we look at it and go like, oh, no way, no way. And it's like, yeah, because let's just do a guesstimate, okay? And if we're just looking at this, and I'm going to say there to there, and let's say the guesstimate is right there. 1.618 brings us straight down to here. 100 brings us down to 23,239. That would work as well, right? That wave 5 would be equal to wave 1 at 23,239. Wave 5 would be equal to 1.618 of wave 1 at 23,059. And we have our first level for the minute C wave at 22,990. So it could go real quick. All right, I'm not going to leave those there. That was just a guesstimate. I'm going to take that off. And so we need to get that low or the high end for wave 4, and then we can put our estimates for the low for wave 5 once we get that in. Okay, taking a quick look at the daily, probably going to be pretty similar, that we're not really seeing any damage yet. The 8 is turning lower. We've now gotten below and closed below the 30. So, excuse me, the 20, I changed them. It's the 20. And so that kind of leads us to like, we should continue to go down and start to meet, these other levels. The 50, this is the daily. So the daily is starting to turn negative. Declining 8, and we've gone through the 20. So let's see what happens from here. And then we just start to finish up. And again, by the time we were to get down to here, I think that this will have turned lower, but this will be flat. So I really feel that it's like this level may be the ticket in terms of finishing this minuet C wave and that minute fourth wave. I still believe that out there is September. And September, I think, they're thinking, regardless of what Powell may do or not do, they're making a stand going like, we, the market, demand, because that's what we've priced in, and they're not wrong. Usually they get what they price. This has been the historical. So again, there's always a first time, right? Where it's like, no, sorry, we're not. And if that happens, I think get out of the way. Because the bond market will go nuts, equities will go nuts, Bitcoin will go nuts, all of it will just kind of go nuts. All right, so I'm going to leave it right there. Looking for a little bit of a rally, then coming back down, finishing the sub-minuet third wave, going back up in a minuet fourth wave, coming back down in the minuet fifth wave, and that's the one I think we get a nice extension on. Or this fifth will extend as well. And that is going to be it for today. Spot gamma levels will be updated with the morning update. And the next update will be tomorrow morning.